They hail from around the globe, and though separated by oceans, they gather in the virtual world for reasons as varied as their locales. Whether it's a defending champion looking to retain his title, a new and eager hopeful striving for recognition, or a legend prepared to recapture past glory, in the end, the one goal they all share is to win. But when naming a victor, only one driver's name can be etched into the record books. You're watching the Heusinkveld MX-5 World Tour.
Those who are patient, who sit, who wait, and who listen. They improve and improve until the glass ceiling is shattered. It doesn't take minutes, it doesn't take hours, or even days and weeks. It could be years. But over the years, we have been waiting for worthy challenger after worthy challenger. And now is probably as good a time as any. We are at Silverstone for the Race Stars Battle of Britain, presented by Progression Racing Australia here in the Heusinkveld MX-5 World Tour on iRacing Live and the global Sim Racing channel. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Progression Racing Australia countdown to green in the series that has shown to make the MX-5 look like a McLaren MP430 with the excitement and pace. I, though, am your play-by-play announcer for this afternoon, Mr. Hashtag Do You Mind himself, and of course the observer of sim racing, Jake Sperry, eagle-eyed as I scan the British skies. Joining me as reinforcements for this one is Bill Soupzahn, whilst Joe Peak shall be in the production truck, pressing buttons to work cameras by the invisible man, Dougie Beard. But Soup, Silverstone is one of the institutions of racing in general. You will struggle to find a circuit more synonymous with racing, with a rich heritage and a major appeal the world over. So will the battle fare, or how will the battle fare, on my home soil?
Well, it should be a good one. Before I talk about what's going to go on there, let's go ahead and remind everybody that almost everything on the Progression Racing Australia's Countdown to Green is brought to you courtesy of Race Stars. The ultimate virtual racing experience. Race Stars has a party venue located in Bowral, New South Wales, featuring simulated racing and slot cars. Their sim racing is also available for corporate hire and team building days. Maybe GSRC should send the gang out there, build our morale up a bit. For more information, visit racestars.com.au. Race Stars also sponsors the sim racing team, Progression Racing Australia. Watch for them on the track. Now, how about today's venue? On the last day of 1950, a 6-hour enduro on a makeshift course marked with hay bales took place, and Sebring International Raceway was born. A classic American circuit and host to the annual 12 Hours of Sebring.
Hang on, Sue. We're at Silverstone, Sue.
Where am I talking about? Am I talking about Sebring? Well, that's very different, because Sebring is in Florida, and right now we're at Silverstone. Now, they're both really flat because they both used to be Air Force bases for the military during World War II. But Silverstone, it's much longer, has a great flowing section through the first part of the racetrack, and then has a technical section on the back. I personally would prefer that we were at Sebring, but that's not where we are. We're at Silverstone. So you want to get a good idea of how to do this? Let's go ahead and watch a lap guide of Sebring, of Silverstone, somewhere.
Alright, we're in the GSRC MX-5, so let's do a lap around Silverstone. Coming up to Cops, passes here will be very difficult because this is a surprisingly fast corner. A little brush on the brakes, and then once the car is turned in, you're fully back on the power. Watch out for the AstroTurf on the exit because there isn't as much grip out there. I've seen a lot of drivers end their day in the Armco off to the right because they lost the car. After that, swinging across the track to set up for the Maggots-Beckett sequence. You've got to be brave through the first part because there's so much time to gain by carrying a bunch of speed in, as long as you can get the car slowed up in a stable manner at least. But it's also important to set yourself up to be able to get on the gas early out of Beckett's, because as you swing it out of Chapel, you've hit the longest flat-out stretch on the track, which is up the Hangar Straight. The draft in these cars will be huge, so expect a lot of battles to erupt on their way to Stowe. Drivers will be jockeying for a position to try and figure out how to best hold on to their place. Because just like Cops, there's surprisingly little braking into this right-hander, and drivers have been known to defend from the outside by squeezing the inside car and ruining their momentum. Be careful not to drift too wide on the exit, and then get it back to the right side of the track. Vale sometimes offers another chance to attack your opponent with the heavy braking needed to woe the car up, but it bleeds right into club, and it's going to be easy to get greedy and either oversteer on the first half or understeer on the second. And this is a decently long stretch, so drivers will really be pushing to scrape every bit of speed out of the car. Remember, the MX-5 doesn't have a lot of oomph, so it rewards those who know how to manage its momentum. Plus, this straight ends in the Abbey chicane, which is another good passing spot. Watch out for cut course penalties here, because the low curbs make it tempting to chop off as much as the sim will allow. Then you'll take it through bridge, which is easily flat out, but also tends to unsettle the car right when you want it planted to brake for priority. It's so tough to hit the apex in this corner, and then before you know it, you're slowing it up for Brooklands. For me, the tricky part of this bend is that it flows right into left field, and judging how far out you should let the car swing is difficult. But it'll be critical that you set up your run off this hairpin, because you won't be lifting until you get back to cops. So just like always, try hard to be on the gas as soon as you know you can get away with it. From there, it's a matter of straightening out Woodcote, and hopefully you've now finished a lap around Silverstone.
The GSRC MX-5 on British soil at, say it with me, Soup, Silverstone.
Silverstone, I got it, I know where we are.
There we go, wheeling around like a spaniel on a beach. However, the opening round proved to be very exciting, and once again, Phillip Island showcased some amazing racing. So how did the standings, Soup, look after the opening round of action?
Check these closely, make sure I don't give the standings for the Absolute Beginner League. No, I think I'm good to go, so let's start with the pro drivers here. After closing out Season 14 on a 4-race win streak, Sonny Ketchen kept it going for Season 5. Thought to be Ketchen's biggest rival is the Roland Estonian, Errol Nunn. He's keeping the 3-time champion honest. Travis Swenke came home in 4th at Phillip Island, but was the cleanest of all the drivers. So thanks to those mile per incident bonus points, he actually sits in 3rd, bumping Robert Hartley, who indeed did podium, down into 4th position. And could this finally be the breakout season for New Zealand's Gene Fittis? Let's go ahead and look at the AM Driver Championship with Gianni Quintier getting bumped up into the pros. It's one rookie and a bunch of guys that we know populating this overlay. Making his series debut was England's Adam McNally. Now, thanks to those bonus points, 3 drivers are tied 6 points back. That's Neil Bamber, who has 8 races under his belt. Belgium's Steven Van Ofstrel, who has 10 career starts. And Joop the Loop Williamson, he has taken the grid 17 times. Lauren Murray finishes 2nd in the category last season and was last season's mile per incident championship. He sits in 5th. So, Jake, after one race, not a lot of surprises.
Well, it's nice to know that Lauren Murray was the actual championship and not the champion. That much you can say. No surprises at all as of yet. But on to more no surprises. The rules, dear sir. And we here in the United Kingdom are very proud to get our monocles out to read our documents. So, kind sir, the rules have queued. What are the rules, Super?
Here we go. Through 15 seasons, there's only been two 3-time champions. That's the legendary Speedmaster, the Belgian mate Jan Koemans, and now the legend in his own time, Sonny Ketchen. This is indeed round 2 of 13. The series organizers dropped the Demo Derby in favor of one regular season race. There are no drop races, so everything that happens on the track matters. There is a no-show compensation that the drivers get to use 3 times. If a driver misses a race, they're compensated with the percentage of that driver's average race finish. Setups, well, they're open. It's open setups, and we're going to be looking at probably one stop. That's usually the way they go. We're going 19 laps because of the reduced fuel cells. We're going to stop once. Incident caps, well, you don't have to worry about being disqualified, but we talked about it. Those mile per incident bonus points you get, which we already talked how Travis Swenke benefited from those.
Yeah, we certainly have seen that. Qualifying currently underway. 10 minutes, 2 laps. One of the longer laps, I think, in the MX-5 World Tour that we're going to see. A lap around here is over 2 minutes. Derek Holland will be the first driver to get across the line in the number 80 machine. He sets the benchmark then of a 2:10.7. Steve Hefford instantly eclipses that by an entire second in the 777 machine. Anwar Barral Smith, though, moves up to the front by just 1/100th of a second. Then the Gene Genie, shall we say, Soup. Gene Fittis doing very well. Artem Karolski, Iru Non, though, up at the top. 2:08.7, the benchmark so far.
We have a couple drivers that we're going to have to watch out for that have penalties to serve. Jacob Toff's got into trouble. I think he's actually suspended this race, so he has to show up in practice. I think he's doing that now. I'm not sure if they're going to allow him to race. Boslav, I believe he has a stop and go to serve. And then there's some guys with pass-through penalties I think need to be served. Marcelo Pajan, Steve Hefford, and Chris Dane. So we'll keep an eye on those.
Yeah, we'll definitely keep an eye on Marcello Pagnan as he will look to do his qualifying. Hartley, though, up to the front, 4/10 clear of Sonny Kanchin. Well, if there's a circuit that you like, and we've seen this throughout qualifying, Robert Hartley is the quickest man of the lot. Let's get this, though. The difference right now between first and third is 9/10 of a second. Marco Derrick's currently in third position, but I would not be surprised, Sue, to see the track rubbering up a little bit more, giving these drivers an opportunity to hit a really strong second lap.
Yeah, the Sonny Kanchin was actually third fastest in practice time, but again, those practice times, they're not sole practice, so a lot of those can be skewed by if you get in the draft, get a tow from somebody. Hartley and Holmes up in front. Travis Swenke, Errol Numm a little farther down in practice time, was fifth.
Sitting there, waiting, but needs to find a little bit more pace if he wants to get up any further. Let's go, though, on to the 53 machine. Anwar Baral-Smith currently in position at number 6 on circuit. Into Priory, this long left-hander, and I love Priory as a corner. I find it such a shame that that corner is gone from what is the modern Silverstone layout as he now heads into Brooklands. Now looking for the 180-degree right-hander of Luffield. You can hold it around the outside of this corner, diamond off the corner, get a good run, but Baral-Smith decides that he wants to try and run that inside line to try and maximise the runoff of the exit, and well, he'll try and get a small kick right through Woodcote, and he gets across the line. He does himself a 2:08.8. He improves, but not in position. Very crucial. Gene Fiddis doesn't manage to improve. Iru Nom, for example, comes across the line and does a 2:08.5. That jumps him up into third position. Artem Karolski couldn't improve on his lap time either. The Bay State Hammers crossed the line, did a 2:09.7. He's miles down the order from where we normally expect to see him. Brian Holmes, though, let's see what the 58 can do. He's always a contender there or thereabouts. 2:09.4. He can't improve either when it comes to it. Kanchin won't go any quicker. Can Marco Derricks go any quicker, though? The answer is going to be no, he can't either. So everybody seems that their second laps can't make anything happen right now here, Soup. One driver who can, or two drivers who can. Richard Worth, and guess who? It's Deuce's time. John Allen's here.
Good to welcome the John Deuce Allen back to the Buckeye Bullet, back to the series. Been very successful when he was here. He's been successful away from the series as well. Good to see him back there. Steve Clays there.
Oh, and you can see there, John Allen just running a little bit wide there. He'll have one more lap to make the attack, make things happen. Steve Clays across the line does a 2:11 lap time. That's not going to be quick enough. John Allen does a 2:09.6 though on that time. Down in position 23. That's not where we normally expect to see John Allen. He'll have one more lap to make things happen. Richard Worth did come across the line. He's in position number 12. He is on the 6th row of the grid as things stand. Not many drivers out. Mika Eshouse has yet to set a lap time, and I doubt that he will get himself around to set that qualifying time either. John Allen pulls the vehicle off. I count that as everybody done on a qualifying lap. I'm going to say this now. We're going to head ourselves over at this stage to the Heusinkveld starting grid. Heusinkveld offers a broad array of products and services, including advanced vehicle simulation software and hardware, and practically sponsors on every major team in sim racing today. If you're looking for an edge in racing, get in touch today at heusinkveld.com. Surprises at the top, but not in terms of pace. Robert Hartley, pole position now, 2:07.793. He is, get this, a full 4/10 clear of Sonny Kanchin in second position. Iru Nom will start from third with Marco Derricks in fourth. Artem Karolski is our second back in fifth. That's so surprising for this series to see such a massive split of gaps, with Anwar Baral-Smith in sixth, Gene Fiddis in seventh position, with Nick Thyssen in eighth. Travis Schwenke, not bad from him there in ninth, but it's Brian Holmes who rounds out 10.
Row 6 is Jason Cooper and Richard Worth, followed by Michelle Pajan and Teddy Clark. 15 and 16 is Dries Nice and Daryl Atkins. Neil Bamber and Boslav make up the next row. Stephen Van Ofstrel and Steve Heffert, 19 and 20.
Kinetic Racing having an okay showing then with Stefan Overgaard, and he will maybe have to overguard from the Sheriff's Jordi Fike just behind. John Allen in 23rd position. Expect him to make some moves up through the field with the Bay State Hammer alongside him. That is a power 12th row, if ever I've saw one. Jert Willemsen will start from 25th. David Hampson alongside him. The amateur category leader, Adam McNally. He's come down from the tune to try and get himself on the grid. He's P27 for the Youth Energy Machine. Has his teammate Peter Van Gool alongside. Robert Veilinger and Lorne Murray, the Scotsman, round out 30.
Jorn de Forsch and Derek Holland behind him. Louis Sauer and Robert Whitty. Arjun Shepers in the 35th position. 36 is Andrew Fawcett. Steve Clays and Garth Hickings behind them. 39th and 40th is Raul Giaz and Trip Smith.
You'll get there, Soup. Gareth Hickling. Joe McDonald, he doesn't have a farm. He has 41st with Max Wright, Benjamin Fisher, and Mika Eshouse failing to set a time. Other drivers that failed to set times, Sarah Dove, Maxime Brisabois, Ashley Howell, the Count of Del Monte Cristo, Adam Delmont, the Hairflip Kip Stevens, and as we know, Jacob Toss will not be taking to the starting grid for this one, though. But 2 minutes to get yourself gridded up, or you start from the dreaded place known as pit road, and you will see how these vehicles, they will stack back all the way as far as that long looping left-hander of Luffield. Starting on that outside is never going to be the ideal place as they run to Copse Corner of turn number 1, especially when you have to deal with the fact that it is all right-handers on the grid. So someone like maybe Jason Cooper could very easily get the jump on Brian Holmes, mainly due to the fact that he's got the inside line. And actually, you look at someone like Brian Holmes having to take a longer run towards turn number 1 indeed. But it's all advantage then for Robert Hartley. He'll have the reigning champion, the 3-time champion, Sonny Canchin, to deal with on the outside. And if Hartley can just break a second somewhere, if we can find out where he's been gaining all that time, then he should use it and really have that as an asset to the resource. But as we know, in this MX-5 World Tour, it is not as simple as you can break away at any given point, at any given time. You have to look out, though, for the Bushwink machine of Iru Nom. You look at Marco Derricks, he's always there. He always throws a surprise. Artem Karolski looks really impressive in the opening round before he ran into difficulties, but 2 minutes expires. Green flag comes down, and let's get ourselves going then. 19 laps worth of action at Silverstone, and already you can see them trying to fan out into one single file line as they make the run to Copse Corner, turn number 1. No opportunities for moves then from Sonny Canchin or Robert Hartley. He'll have to play the waiting game. Too wide they go. A little bit further back behind Karolski. That's the Gene Fiddis, and Anwar Burrell Smith losing the position. Ditton and Schwenke going side by side as we head to Maggots and Beckett's.
Everybody clean through Copse as they work down into Maggots and Bedford. Now they are single file.
They're single file. That's all that they need to be at this stage. No real attacks, but we've got 2 wide in the middle of the pack right now. Behind Bashlop, that's Van Opstal. And Dries Nice wanting to go around the outside and have a nice time. And he will get that one around the outside. Very slow off the chapel there with Stephen Van Opstal. That allows Steve Hefford the opportunity through. Now it allows Alan and Overgaard to start thinking about making this move. Side by side a little bit further in front, though. Travis Schwenke again under pressure. This time it's going to be trying to attack Nick Thyssen, and he's not able to make that move into Stowe Corner. But at the front, it's still Robert Hartley. But here's a chance to make a move here. It's a brave move as you hit the southern part of the circuit. It's on the brakes into the Vale and then into Club. So if you can make it into the Vale, you have to be a very, very strong candidate for making some very strong moves.
First race at Phillip Island was very messy. The IRT came down really hard on the drivers, telling them to get around clean. So far, they've been paying attention.
So far they have, and so far they've been doing a very good job of things at this stage. Artem Karolski, though, looking for that move then on Marco Derricks, not able to make that happen just yet. Gene Fiddis sitting, waiting, patient, looking for an opportunity then. As things stand, we have lost our pictures, though, and we will get them back to you as quickly as you can so we can go GSRC radio for the moment then. Here on the Global Sim Racing channel, Iru Nom is in position number 3 as he heads into the left-hander then, which comes along of Brooklands Corner. Behind that, Travis Schwenke thinking about this move. This one coming for position number 8, still looking for a way past Nick Thyssen, the Gathering of Tweaker's Machine. And I think the Gathering of Tweaker's Machine understands he needs to try and stay with this pack. And it's very much a long line pack at this stage, Soup.
They are nose to tail all the way back to the last car, 48th Trip Smith. So far, everybody's still out there racing. Very clean all the way through the field.
very clean through the field. Neil Bamber is in the number 71 machine. He's looking to get past Daryl Atkins in the number 96 machine as they just headed through Copse Corner. They're making that run right now towards Maggots and Beckett's, the lefts and rights, out on circuit. So they are just about dropped off the back of the train, which stands all the way back to Teddy Clark in the number 10 machine.
Oh!
Teddy is looking good, and Soup, I believe you've seen
Big
it.
Name. Yeah, it was Marcelo Pijon. Remember, he had to serve that stop-and-go penalty. Coming out of the pits, he got together with another car, and their guys are going to be done. The only reason I mentioned is Pijon is really fast. A car got loose in front of him. It was, I'll give you the car here. Oh, it was Benjamin Fisher. Got loose right in front of Pijon, and the Italian race driver's race is over.
What a shame for Marcello Pignan. He's not going to be too happy about that. Of course, the Italians are always very hearty and they are always full of passion, but that's a shame at this stage. Nom in position number 3 is still fending off then Marco Derricks. You can't see what's going on, but I will tell you, it's still Hartley on lap 2. Kanchin, Nom, Derricks, Karolski, Fiddis, Burrell Smith, Thyssen, Schwenke, Holmes, Cooper, Worth, Clark. That's a train of 13, believe it or not, at the front of this field. Now this mini train here, there's a second train forming right now here. So Jordi Fike on the back of it, looking at Stefan Overgaard thinking, you know what, I've got half a chance on this kinetic machine. A kinetic machine which is inside the top 20 on the iRankings.
Yeah, the string of cars goes all the way back to the last car in line, which is 14th. Teddy Clark, which won't show up on our overlay when we get our pictures back. Then 15th is, there we go. We have Atkins leading that next train with Bamber behind him, and Nice.
Yeah, and you're seeing that third train now starting to try and really attack and make your way forward. And if you can attack and if you can make that push, then you have to do as much as you can to keep yourself in that picture, in that game. Gene Fiddis, we've said this here from the Gene Genie, the New Zealand driver. He's always got this opportunity to really improve, and at the back end of the last season, he looked really, really strong. We wondered whether he could continue that form. He certainly has, as he gets a fantastic run coming out of Copse Corner. He pulls it alongside Karolski, the newcomer, in the 63 machine. He'll have the inside, but he backs out of it. He was not side-by-side enough to make that move. Now Anwar Burrell Smith, using that experience he has in the BSRTC MX-5 series, which is a bunch of reverse grid races, to try and get aggressive and make moves.
Yeah, the familiar names up there, lots of them. The ones that are new to the series, Derricks, Karolski, Smith also. Nice to see Nick Thiessen up racing with the big boys.
Here comes
Jason Cooper as well.
Oh, Kanchin backed out of it, heading down into Stowe Corner. So Sonny Kanchin is playing the long game already. He had an opportunity to throw it side by side. He didn't want to against Robert Hartley. So the Asbury Motorsport machine didn't make its way around the 52. He will have to sit and play the waiting game a little bit further. And that's clever, actually, from Sonny Kanchin. He knows he's not the quicker driver. So why doesn't he just let Hartley do all the work and he try and take all the credit at the end, as he did last time out at Phillip Island?
Just quickly update you, the Boss Slava and Steve Heppert, along with Marcelo Pijon, did take their stop-and-go penalties. Slost and Heppert are out cleanly. Pijon, not so much.
Yeah, that's very much the case then at this stage. A little bit further back, though, you're starting to see here the train slowly dissipate. Neil Bamber versus Dries Nice. Nice was thinking about the inside, but he was in a lot of issues then as things started to fall away just a little bit. And Soup.
And we have Roll, you saw him on screen there, Roll Diaz. Joe McDonald gave him a little tap, sent Diaz around. There you can see the damage. We'll get the replay of this. Joe McDonald, notoriously clean driver.
Well, that was all the way back down the field and around position 37, 38 or so. So Roge Hughes will not be too happy in a big, big hit when it came to the armcar. And I think that's Roge Hughes taking the toe and saying, day done.
Yeah, he had a lot of room. Boy, early breakings for sure. That's what I would say. At least that was Joe McDonald. Go ahead.
And I've just seen Ludwig Sauer turned around as well as I was trying to pan my way up through the field. That was at the left-hander of Brooklands, and there was a little coming together there with Weilinger. Weilinger gives him the tap. It was a desperate attempt to save from Sauer, but in the end, he just got the biggest amount of snap oversteer you could ever see.
Well, yeah, and you see that Sauer was really late getting to the apex on that one, a really late turn, and looked like a dive bomb. We'll let the IRT decide that one. Look at the battle behind him, though.
Yeah, there's definitely
Peter Van Good.
Peter Van Gool having a very good scrap at things. We'll see if he can maintain this one then as things stand. But for now, it seems that he is just content at this stage to keep himself where he is at this moment. At the front of the field, though, we'll go back to the front and see things going on. Heusinkveld sitting playing the waiting game. Now, when you get in a train like this here, Soup, this is where you already think about strategy. Kanchin thinking about heading down to the inside when it comes to the Vale, unable to make that happen. There's where you're seeing the time made up. That's all at the Vale, where we're starting to see here the breakaway a little bit, as Heusinkveld was very, very wide through that Vale corner, has sort of checked up the field a little bit here in this leading train now. 6 behind that, we're almost going to go 3 wide right now. Anwar Burrell-Smith, Travis Schwenke, Brian Holmes. Now Jason Cooper's going to pinch Burrell-Smith on that outside, give him nowhere to go on the brakes.
Yeah, this is not what the guys up front wanted. I'm talking about the big names like Hartley, Kanchin, and Num. They would like this train to lose a few cars, and maybe they got a shot of it now with Fittis back in 6th position. Looks like some of them have fallen off. Now Smith back in 7th. Schwenke's got to be worried. Brian Holmes, that they're going to lose touch with the leaders up front.
And now you're seeing Cooper side by side with Disson on the outside, nowhere to go. And Richard Worth going to try and send one down the inside. We know what money can do when money is available, but he takes a big wiggle on the outside. This allows Teddy Clark to think about going down to that inside in the number 10 machine. And Teddy, well, you can have a cuddle if you want there, Mr. Worth, but he decides, nope, I'd rather cuddle my money. As he goes and keeps that position, he holds on to position number 12.
Teddy Clark, new to the series. We didn't get the details for our overlay there, but he is racing in the number 10 car, currently in 13th position.
Yeah, he certainly is. Joe McDonald comes out of pit road then after his little run. Anwar Burrell-Smith runs very wide, coming out of Cop's corner. That will put him on a disadvantage then to Maggots and Beckett's. He holds onto it just for the time being, but once again, we're seeing, you know, the familiar names here in this train of 6. Remember, in the train of 5 that we had in the battle for the final race that we had last get some words out, Jake. For the first race that we had this season, you know, we're seeing most of the names that were up there back here again. You know, we are seeing Fittis, we are seeing Karolski up there, Nom, Kanchin, Hartley. The big factor, though, is Marco Derricks. We haven't seen him up here at all in the last couple of seasons, and now he's got something to prove here at Silverstone. Now I think he will want to be battling against these drivers.
Well, he belongs. He qualified 4th. He's not doing this just from hanging on the coattails. He's right in there. His qualifying time was not that far off. It was about a second off, but around here at Silverstone, so that's not so bad yet. Yeah, he certainly has the pace. Karolski as well. Fittis, again, showing that he's for real.
Yeah, certainly is. Battle going on though further down. Darrell Atkins, Neil Bamber, and there's Deuces there. The Buckeye bullet of John D. Allen looking to try and make that attack. Stephen Van Opstal, though, looking to try and get in on the mix on the run up to the Abbey. Then at the left-right chicane, and well, it's a hope. It's a long hope then from Allen as he goes for the inside. Gets a little bit at the rear there of the driver of Darrell Atkins. It slows the pair of them up. It allows Stefan Overgaard to come into the battle. The Workiva Kinetics driver, Jordi Fike there, the Bay State Hammer there, Adam McNally's there, David Hampson's there. They are all in the mix now, all looking to play aggressive driver number 1.
As we ride on board with Overgaard, boy, Allen in that Brewdog car is all over the back, and now he's going to lose a position. Here comes on the outside, making the battle. That is Van Opstal with nowhere to go. Great racing going on back here for 16th.
16th, looking for the up and under and slow off the exit. There's a bit of contact between the pair of them, a bit of a check-up for Van Opstal. Advantage Overgaard as he goes to the underside to try and make that move, and he makes that there. And Overgaard there, you could say, in terms of the battling for Van Opstal, but he needs to defend on the underguard, so Overgaard holds on to it just for the time being. The train, though, still stacked behind Anwar Burrell-Smith. Schwenke there for Asbury Motorsports really needs to start picking up that pace. The stops window as well. This is lap 6 of 19, so we're starting to think, you know, if you have damage, this is about the time you start considering coming down this lane. I think this is now really close behind Jason Cooper. Richard Worth off the train.
Let's jump up a little bit. Let's go up to 5th position because these guys are losing touch. It's Karolski inside. No, actually, that's Fittis inside of Karolski. Fittis has got to be worried now. He's 1.1 seconds behind Derricks. I think they're losing touch with the fast guys.
I think they are, but the more important thing is we've seen Schwenke through on Burrell-Smith, and we're also seeing Cooper hold off Nick Disson for the moment. Disson gives him a chrome horn into the Vale, but that's just going to damage this. And of course, a front engine machine here like this one, Soup, means that any front end damage is going to be so detrimental to what will happen moving forward.
Yeah, the engine won't like it, and you're also going to hurt your straight line speed as you ride on board with Nick Thiessen. A little bit of a bumping going on there from Jason Cooper. Don't be fooled, that's just an internet connection problem. Jason's firmly planted on the track.
Firmly planted and looking for opportunity. Dries Nice thinking about the move into the Abbey. That one not going to work then as John Allen sitting and waiting. You've seen just how much Overgaard has dropped back. He's now lost the position to Van Overstel side by side with the Sheriff Jordi Fike as he's on the outside looking to make the move as they come into bridge and unable to really hook up that run into Priory to make that move a reality. So he will have to play the waiting game a little bit more. But now you start thinking, when's the best time to come in and make that stop? We know that Irunom has the ability to switch up. Sometimes he goes the longest of anybody else. Sometimes he goes the shortest of anybody else on this opening stint. And I think that's the worry that a lot of drivers are going to be having here. Hartley knows he's got to stay out, and we've got a vehicle off soon.
Well, I think we have a couple cars pitting, I believe, coming in for a stop. Would be now, it looks like Overgaard has decided to come in, as has the Bay State Hammer, Tom Ratchey. They were in that kind of pinata full of bees. Maybe they decided to get out of there. They can probably run faster laps by themselves than being in that swarm.
Well, the best thing is for the pair of them is that they've got a partner. They got that person they can tango with. Overgaard and Ratchey can work together to make things happen as side by side down the front stretch. Baz Schlob on Gareth Hickling. Down to the inside goes Baz Schlob. He makes light work of the driver of Hickling as he looks to try and spearhead his way through the field. And we've seen how the early stop, if people get involved in incidents, how that starts to be a very good factor and how it can work for a lot of drivers. Especially when you're looking at that second and third train, you could very easily be held up as Dries Nice comes down to the inside of Neil Bamber. Bambi on the outside trying to hold position, Doesn't matter if you're part of a Nomad, you're not going to be able to make that move. And well, here comes John Allen thinking about the outside, and it's so hard to do it around the outside at the Vale, he can't do it.
So you look at that group. Now the long train that we had now broken up into groups of 4s and 2s and 3s. As we look at that battle with Bamber, up front is a 4-car train. They have lost Fittis and Kurowski now. You're talking about pit stops. I think with the pace of Robert Hartley, I think the guys up front are actually scared to come in.
And Hartley's lost the position, actually, to Sonny Kanchin. So the move has been done for the lead of this event. And that one, if I am correct with that, was done down into Stowe. On the inside went Sonny Kanchin. And that was as easy as a move as I think you are going to see there off of Robert Hartley. We're going to see if we can try and find it. But that is a statement of intent. Kanchin to the front once again.
Yeah, that pass probably made as much by looking at the fuel gauge as it was by looking at the track. I think Hartley just not happy out there burning all the gas, having to take a longer stop. Son, you get out here, do some of the work.
Yeah, that certainly is the case. Well, we're going to get a look then at what this happened for that move, as you're going to see Sonny Kanchin look to that inside. He gets himself a little bit along, and then he just sends one down the inside, and the Australian makes some light work of the move that has just happened. So I think now we're starting to see this. It's time to get on moving. Lap 8 of 19 then. We're just 2 laps away from the halfway stage in this event. And, you know, I don't think actually that Gene Fittis has dropped off too much. He actually gained a 10th on the driver in front of Marco Derricks. 1.3 seconds back. You still get the faintest bit of draft if you're this far back. I think Gene Fittis is working incredibly hard to make sure that Kurowski doesn't get within range and that he has a shot to get right back in the draft if something happens on the stops.
I think Fittis benefited a little bit from the side-by-side racing going up in front between Kanchin and Hartley. That may have slowed them down a bit. Yeah, he's doing his best to stay in there. Can we go back to 8th position, though? Let's run down these guys in this train. Travis Swenke ahead of Smith. Holmes in the mix in the Eagle Nest Tavern machine. Cooper in there. Thyssen. And then the last car in train, Richard Worth. A great battle going on. What is that? 6, 7 cars back there starting in 8th position.
In 7th position, actually. So Travis Schwenke knows that he's got a lot of work that he has in front of him, and the question becomes, when do I dive in? When do I decide to make that stop? And when you see drivers starting to make moves, like we've seen those, such as the Bay State Hammer, Tom Ratchey, come in, Stefan Overgaard, come in, you start wondering, when do I come in from the second train, start thinking about making these moves? Adam McNally, for example, he might be a driver that decides he wants to come down in. He's stuck behind his Sheriff Jordi Fike here soon.
Deuce Allen is in the pits right now. Be interesting to see how he cycles out in relationships to Overgaard.
It will be.
And he's out now. He's out.
Well, he's out, but he's now being hounded down by the train that is leading this event. No takers then on the lane from the front 6. No takers on the lane from the next 7. So it means that nobody is a fan of going down onto pit road just yet. We certainly could see a party for the lane, but look at this. Bump draft. Hello, Anwar Barral Smith. I don't want to make the move into Copse Corner. Keep going. I know Brian Holmes wants to get the pickup on the exit.
That battle that continues to be a mess back there. Brian Holmes in 9th. Schwenke up there in 7th. All those drivers still need to make their stop.
And I am going to say this now. Gene Fiddis is back under a second here to Marco Derricks. He gained 4/10 on that last lap. Proof in the pudding that he's doing a very good job of things right now, as it's still Kanchin leads Hartley, Nom, Derricks there in the mix as well. But when 2 more vehicles get onto the train, I think that's help actually for Sonny Kanchin. It's more vehicles that will want to fight out with each other, means it's a better chance to break away. Exactly the same way that it happened on the final lap on the last race is what he wants to see again.
Because I can just report that in 36th position, Deuce Allen is the legitimate driver of all the cars that have made a legitimate pit stop. Some had to do that stop and go that don't really count. He's racing in 36. He's ahead of Dries Nice, who's made a stop. Overgaard also made a stop, and Ratchy. Remember, they came in. But right now, it's Allen well out in front by about 2.3 seconds over those guys.
Well, that's very much fair game at this stage, but now it's an affirmative train of 6 at the front of this field. And I wonder, though, when the battling is going to start. They've all just sat and waited. You know, it's almost like we got 18 laps of waiting, and then on the 19th lap they go, you know what, I think it's now time that we decide to start racing. You could argue it's not racing at this stage, Soup, the amount that they've been sitting and waiting, playing the fuel game, playing the strategy game, and that's not necessarily a bad thing in racing.
Yeah, I don't think we're learning anything about pace up here right now. Kanchin out in front. He qualified in 2nd position. Whoop.
He tried to dupe them. He tried to go for the dupe and nobody fell for it. So Sonny Kanchin trying to do everything. Nick Disson fell for the dupe in the 2nd pack. He's down onto the lane. He got someone in the end, but Nick Disson dives down to the lane. Sonny Kanchin was trying there. It didn't quite work out the way he wanted it to, though.
Always the showman, Sonny Kanchin. I think he knew no one was going to bite on that one. Thyssen comes in. Now, what we want to do, maybe we can focus on Thyssen for a minute and pick up Deuce Allen and see how that plays out. Allen was well down, and see if I can find him on our roster, 35th. That's the guy that Thyssen want to beat. Now, Thyssen was in a higher group. He should be able to get in and out faster, I would think.
He should be able to, as John Allen now rounds himself out of left field, as Nick Disson sits and waits patiently in his box. Now gets the drive as he looks to get out and away, and he should retain then the effective position. He'll be out behind Peter Van Gool, and he may be a little bit side by side with Ludwig Sauer in the hair flick. Kip Stevens, he will be in that train. That's not ideal, but crucially enough, he's ahead of John Allen by a good few seconds, though, at this stage. Exactly what is needed. Big shuffle, though. Hartley's lost the position to Irunom. Look at this. Finish down to the inside. He'll take one. He'll take Marco Derricks, but Kanchin suddenly finds half a second. Contact almost there between Fiddis and Derricks there as they check up. Suddenly, Kanchin's got himself a 6/10 buffer.
Yeah, now there's a big difference between giving up 1st position and giving up 2nd position. There's no reason to give up 2nd. If you give up 1st, you're trying to save some fuel. If you give up 2nd, that means Errol Num is coming. My guess is Num is thinking it's about pit stop time. He'd like to get farther up in the train as possible before he ducks in.
Well, this has completely thrown a little bit of a spanner in the works as Fiddis now and Derricks going side by side as they head into bridge. Fiddis has to leave the room then. On the outside he will be. Will Derricks into Priory, but I think Fiddis now is understanding we're battling too much. We're losing Robert Hartley. Big dive from Karolski down to the inside. No contact between them. A big power move that doesn't work. Derricks again thinking about that inside. Almost Cleland-esque as he looks at that inside. Not going to be able to make that happen in that move. But in comes Kanchin, in comes Hartley, in comes Fiddis, in comes Derricks, in comes Karolski. Guess what? Irunom is qualifying lap time.
You betcha. If he has anything saved up, this is when the Roland Estonian wants to do some rolling, as he's got 5 guys to get in and out before. Clear track ahead of him. So let's see what kind of lap he can put down. Let's see how these guys come out as well. In theory, I would think that Hartley and Ketchum might be a little slower. They did most of the work.
Well, I have to say you're making me hungry talking about 5 guys, but that's a different point entirely. In they all come. A lot of drivers from the 2nd pack also coming in. We know Sonny Kanchin is one of the best on the lane. We know Sonny Kanchin is one of the best on the lane. He gets the breakaway. Gene Fiddis tried to join him on the strategy call. Hartley goes a lot longer, very much longer though, from the likes of Marco Derricks and Artem Karolski, who got them horribly wrong. Cooper gets out in front. Holmes gets out in front. Schwenke gets out in front. I wonder if there was some penalties here and there that came into play, as now Bjorn de Forge now with Sonny Kanchin. So Kanchin's got the jump. Now, Irunom, you've got to have the perfect pit stop.
Once again, the Coriolis effect comes into play as the guys south of the equator have the fastest pit stops. Kanchin in Australia, Fiddis in New Zealand, in and out first.
In and out and doing a very good job, although I would have thought that the Coriolis effect would have been negated by the fact that we're in the United Kingdom, but that's a different point entirely. Irunom, though, keep an eye on this. He's got to do some really strong lap times here. His qualifying pace was a 2:08.5. What he did on his second lap was a 2:08.4. We're seeing, though, how the gaps have sort of fallen off a little bit. His last 3 laps were a 2:10 flat, a 2:09.7, and a 2:09.8. You saw how the pace has drastically slowed down by 7/8 tenths of a second. I don't think that's tyres. I think that was the waiting game. I thought there was a lot of battling. Missed apex, though, from Nom as he headed through Priory Corner. He's pushing almost too hard at this stage as he looks to try and put the perfect laps in on lap 11 of the event. Hartley, though, he's lost the jump to Gene Fiddis. Now it's up to Fiddis here to close down Kanchin. And I'm sorry, but that is the toughest challenge that anyone has to do. Irunom is on the lane.
Yeah, Fiddis have been trying to run guys down the entire race. Remember, he fell back off that 4-car train. He got them back. Then he lost ground again. He had to try to run them down. Now he's trying to run down Kanchin. Now, Num had to do that one lap. Jake talked about it, but he did it on old tires. We'll see how that played out.
We certainly will, as he looks for his box and searches and waits. Anwar Barral-Smith in, Richard Worth in, Neil Bamber stays out, as does the Sheriff Jordi Fight. Daryl Atkins is down on the lane, Bjorn de Forge on the lane. Here comes Sonny Kanchin, though. Irunom's in his box, he's sitting, he's waiting, he's waiting too long. Here he goes. Are they going to come out side by side? They are, but Kanchin's got the run then through turn number 1. Irunom's got work to do. If he wants to get back up to the front, he can ask on fuel all you want. I don't think that's going to be the case. And Gene Fiddis all of a sudden is on the podium. Gene Fiddis all of a sudden is second net on the road.
Once again, Kanchin dominant in the pit box.
It's how he does it. It's how he wins all his races. He's the master of the pit stop. Oh, no, huge incident that we just seen as well. And that one down, Maggots and Beckett's. Arian Shepherd involves Steve Hefford as well. So big 2-3 car incident. That was Hefford getting tagged by Shepherds there into that section. And Hefford nowhere to go. Spread eagle as Clays is there. The rest of the train all going through. And I have to say, Steve Hefford in that situation will be held accountable for not hitting the brakes coming back across the circuit there soon.
And a great job from Derek Holland. He was the second car on the scene. As he went wide, he avoided all the issues. Nice job from him.
And there's more incidents as well, as Stefan Overgaard, as I believe that was Steve Clays trying to get off circuit as quickly as he could, did not see Overgaard, and Overgaard gets tagged in that situation too. Yep. So a lot of drivers getting involved in the biggest incident that I've seen in about 2 or 3 seasons.
And another one that almost got in there, that's Tom Ratchey, did a great job of getting around that Overgaard incident. That was all part of the carnage and the aftermath from that original incident. How about our leader right now, though, Neil Bamber? Give a little love to Bambi out there, yet to make a stop.
Yet to make the stop, but being hounded down by Jordi Fike and Sonny Kanchin. In comes Bamber. I expect Jordi Fike. No, Jordi Fike stays out even further. So the Sheriff proves that, you know, if there's still bullets in my pistol, I'm still going to go out there and I'm still going to race it. So Gene Fiddis in second. Look at this battle now for the final spot on the podium. It's Nom and it's versus Robert Hartley, and the pair of them having this big scrap, and this is not going to help them in the long run for this. They've got to get back to Sonny Kanchin. The gap is now 4 seconds. And if you put Robert Hartley at the front of the train, he was the fastest man when it came to 1 lap pace and the fastest man in practice. Who else would you want at the front of that train but Robert Hartley? I think that Nom and Fiddis would need to understand that if they wanted to go for a race victory, you'd let Hartley up to the front of the train, even though it would cost you track position in the long run.
All right, here we go again. You've heard this story before. Fiddis, Nom, and Hartley, their stops were at least 12.3 seconds or longer. Sonny Kanchin's 11.3. There's a second right there. Now, that's not the entire, that's only 1 second. He's still out in front by about 4, so there's a lot to the story, but there you have it.
There you have it. There is a lot to the story as Irunom then sacrifices the position to Robert Hartley as he looks for Gene Fiddis now in position number 2. And Gene Fiddis, you know, you have to question where his loyalties lie. You know, is he just happy getting the podium, or does he want to go for the race victory? That's what we've been seeing out of Gene Fiddis quite a bit then in the opening 2 rounds. He wants to fight for podiums. He wants to fight for victories. He wants to get up there. He wants to be pushing for it. Robert Hartley wants to get around him as quickly as he can and start putting the pressure on. Slightly defensive line taken on the run to Abbey. I'd send it if I were you, Robert Hartley. The quicker the better. You don't want to be held up through the technical section coming up, and he'll be held up through the technical section coming up. Behind this, still got Cooper versus Thyssen versus Worth versus Burrell Smith versus Derricks. And you're seeing these big trains now in the middle of the packs here. Cooper versus Thyssen, not going to happen then, as they have this scrap side by side. Also, Sarah Dove was there against Dries Nice, and Dries Nice and Kip Stevens now the next battle.
Last car still to pit, Jody Fike. If there is one driver that always loves the back marker review, or right now it's called the trip back marker shout out, it is the Sheriff, Jody Fike. And he knows we can't do it till all the pits are done. As he's running this long, he's making it hard on the commentator. Shame on you, Sheriff.
Shame on you, Sheriff. He's down in onto the lane. He's making his stop as Sonny Kanchin then re-inherits the race lead overall. The gap is officially 4 seconds then between Fiddis and Kanchin as Hartley looks to try and get to the front of this train and arguably is the fastest man, but he won't have long to close down 4 seconds. He'll probably, if he makes this move, have 5.5 laps or so, if not even that, to try and make that move to gain 4 seconds. It's so easy to say, oh, it's only 4 seconds. This is 4 seconds in an MX-5 and the strongest MX-5 field in the world. Try gaining that gap back down. Close then they come, down the hangar straight for the 14th time of 19. And now you're starting to see here, this is the desperation for Robert Hartley. I've got to get to the front of the train. I've got to start making moves. Hartley gets down in on the inside then as they get to Stowe. Now it's up to Robert Hartley to chase down Kanchin.
Yeah, that's going to be a tall order. This one is done, assuming we just have to assume the only thing that can save these guys if Sonny has to start to save.
Well, that is the case at the moment. Cooper still there with Nick Thyssen, who was trying on the outside then through Stowe. That's not going to work as they now make the run to the Vale. And there was a half look there from Richard Worth. That one not going to work out in favour just yet. John Allen side by side with the hair flick Kip Stevens as they head into the Vale. You know what? Not done there was Kip Stevens, but he's stuck on the inside. Dries Nice will power around the outside of the elephant that never forgets. And well, Dries Nice, beautifully done there. That's how you deal with a vehicle that is a little bit slower on the road.
Why don't we take this opportunity right now, Jake, and things are settling down as we have 6 laps to go. We'll do our trips back marker shout out. We'll start with the driver currently racing. Well, I guess it's going to be, is it going to be Garth Hickling? Is that the Hickling is the car last on the left? Hickling, there we go. Garth, who runs back there. I will get your pronunciation right on that one. He currently races in 42nd position. Let's go up 1 spot to Joe McDonald. We saw him get a little contact earlier. He races about 26 seconds behind a guy who was having a great race. That's Stefan Overgaard. Overgaard, though, just coming out. I think Overgaard just had an incident right then, as we talked about, as he's just coming out of the pits. Let's move up 1 more to Steve Clace. Clace is in the pits right now, banging his car against the wall. Obviously frustrated about something. Let's move up to Trip Smith. Hey, Trip, you get in your own shout-out here as you're in 38th position. Up 1 more spot to Robert Whitty. Whitty in 36th spot. And then we'll go up to Brisboy. Brisboy in racing in the 666 machine of 37th position. Then we go up to 36 to Whitty. And our last driver that we'll talk about, how about we wrap it up with, we haven't talked much about Peter Van Gool back there in 35th. There you have it, Trips. Back marker shout-out. Back to you, Jake.
Yeah, back marker shout-out there. It's always a pleasure to see that one coming along. Iru Nom has got through on Gene Fiddis as well. Fiddis is not the quickest man in this train and is suddenly being dropped. Hartley, that last time by, was about 19 thousandths of a second slower than Sonny Kanchin. That's not going to cut the mustard. I'm sorry, that's just the case of what it is going to be. Worth versus Derricks, though, coming out of Stowe. Worth then on the inside for the Vale. He'll be very happy about that. as Derricks is going to try and hold the outside then as they get themselves into the Vale, get the inside line for Club. Not going to get it. The nose is chopped off there. Brilliant driving, though, from the driver of what was going to be Richard Worth.
We look at that battle. That is a 6-car battle. That's led. The guy leading that train is Brian Holmes. Holmes started in 10th, up 4 spots into 6th. Cooper behind him. Thyssen in that mix as well. Smith, Worth, and then Derricks back there in 11th.
Yeah, a nice little scrap then for the remainder of the position, inside of the top 10. I'll tell you what, Artem Karolski once again has proven that he has struggled in the pit stop cycle. He's now with Daryl Atkins in what is going to be this battle for around about the top 20 or so. Not ideal. Adam McNally, of course, the amateur championship leader. He may lose that championship lead if he's not careful. But he's sitting there in a very nice position with a very nice battle and a big dive down to the inside from Karolski. He almost scares the driver out of the way on the outside line. But you can see Atkins is not going to be faced. He's got the inside for the next corner. And now McNally's going to be opportunistic. Send one down the inside. Adam McNally, that's a beautiful move.
Adam McNally, of course, leading in the amateur class right now. It really seems like he can race with those guys. And Karolski, one more time, you get all excited for him. But again, after the pit stops, Jake talked about it. You find him down there in 20th.
And again, Sonny Kanchan fractions quicker than Robert Hartley, running out of time. 4 laps to go. It's got to be a second a lap now from Robert Hartley. It's got to be a mistake from Sonny Kanchan. And how often do we talk about a Sonny Kanchan mistake? His train of victories, his streak is at 5. He is looking for 6 in a row, and that does stretch back to last season, and that seems to be the case at the moment. Cooper, though, again under pressure. Burrell, Smith and Thyssen looking for opportunities. Thyssen will send one down to the inside as they get to Stowe Corner, trying to hold that outside line as Cooper get the pickup off the exit. He's not going to be able to get that, or he might get it very, very late. There's still a gap. There's a turn on the quarter panel. Thyssen gets turned, and Thyssen will be very upset at Jason Cooper there, who never had the gap.
Yeah, I think Cooper would argue that I'm on the outside. I'm holding my line out here. That's my position. You squeeze me over. Thyssen would say, you got to let me have that track out. Good news for Thyssen, though. He just loops around, puts it in the grass. He'll get to keep racing. It falls down only down to 11th.
Yeah, that was a beautiful little J-turn that we saw there from Nick Dixon. Advanced car control at its finest there from the Gathering of Tweakers man, who holds onto position right now. Slow Van Upstal then, he loses the position to Teddy Clark on the run into the left-hander, so that's just something to keep an eye on. Dries Nice, though, still in this battle with Neil Bamber. It seems that whenever we come to Neil Bamber, Dries Nice is not too far there.
Bamber is really making a move. He just got around a few laps early, got around Deuce Allen. He's led a few laps. He's looking to get into 12th position if he get around Nice. Great run from the Englishman.
Very good run then on home soil for Neil Bamber. Dries Nice understands that he's got a lot to defend for, who started, of course, in 15th position on the grid. He's not going to get any higher unless there is an incident happening in what is going to be the final 3 laps of this event. The gap at the front then, 4 seconds for Sonny Kanchan. It did come down on that last lap, but we're now starting to look more at the battle for the podium than we are for the battle for the victory. Hartley desperately trying to break away from Irunom. The gap is half a second between them, with Gene Fiddis just waiting in the wings in 4th position on the road. Burrell Smith, though, he's made some moves. He's got some positions. He's now got Brian Holmes right in front of him, too.
Yeah, and those battles you talked about, we look at Holmes in that 5th and battling for 6th with Smith chasing him down. The battle for the podiums, those points are important, even if they can keep Sonny Kanchan honest right now. Holmes doing a great run. We talked about him qualifying 10th, up in 4 spots. Look at going on behind, though. We have Worth back there and Derricks. Now, Derricks is another one like Karolski that was racing up front early. After the pit stops, he drops back.
He does drop back, and, well, he will not be very happy at the fact that he's dropped back. No changes in position. Bamber side by side down to the inside and makes it very comfortable on Dries Nice there. No real chance to defend against that position for Dries Nice. He'll pick up a great run, though, coming off at the exit of the corner. He'll move to the outside to try and make things happen. Defensive line from Bamber here, heading to the Vale. A little Indy Jones and defender of the lost corner, methinks, as now John Allen tries to get in onto the mix. He can see now just how Dries Nice is trying to set this run up, and he has completely caught Neil Bamber napping side by side on the run here to the Abbey.
Right behind him is 2x2 as well. That involves Ratchie and Allen. They tuck into line.
Oh, around the outside. Thank you, Dries Nice. Oh, it's beautifully done. And look at this. Allen will now start freight training the driver, Neil Bamber, if he's not too careful. Bamber on the outside loses the position to John Allen. Now you look at the driver of the Bay State, Hammer trying to get in on the action. That inside line's not going to be helping Bamber. No real chance then to keep things in perspective. 2 laps to go at the circuit of Silverstone. And look at the battle for second now. Nom is there.
Yeah, and he would like to get another one. If he can get another second place finish behind Ketchen, he keeps Ketchen on us throughout the season. Hartley was really fast, so this will be a tough order for the Roland Estonian to get him. Let's go back. Can we get it? McNally was just involved in an incident. This is important because he's our amateur champion, our amateur leader right now, involved in it with Krolowski. Oh boy, yeah. It's a dive bomb. I'm sorry.
It's an attempt. It's very much a Cleland attempt. Now the question becomes, did Kowalski have enough of a nose down the inside? McNally was already committed to the corner on that inside. And I have to say, Kowalski has to have a little bit more patience when it comes to drivers who aren't as quick. McNally very quickly past Weilinger then to try and take the position away. That will just check up this entirety of the field. Dries Nice versus John Allen, though, going on here. So Allen's got the run.
And just to follow up on that last incident, remember, we're looking at it one time only from one angle. Often on closer inspection, things look different. But from here, that looked like a dive bomb. Yep, now, as we're still on board with McNally, we're waiting here as we get to Deuce Allen.
Oh, it was an attempt, but it wasn't quite the run that was needed there.
There we go.
So John Allen unable to get things happening. Dries Nice, Neil Bamber then sitting here as now the Bay State Hammer tries to go for the outside at the Vale. And you can see now a flurry of positions lost late at this stage for Neil Bamber, who's trying maybe a little bit too hard on this one. If he's not careful, he'll lose more. There's Fike, there's Clark, there's Van Opstal, all there in the lower half of the top 20. But it's all eyes, though, to the front of this field. Sonny Kanchan leading this one, a lap and a little bit then left to go. Robert Hartley in second position, Iru Nom in third. Gene Fiddis, unless these two drivers come together in front of him, I think has thrown away a podium opportunity with a lack of pace in the second half of the stint. He's unable to really close that gap down the way that he wants. White flag in the air then at Silverstone as Iru Nom now has to sense an opportunity. The gap comes down to 3.6 seconds, but I don't see Sonny Kanchan losing 3.6 seconds anytime soon. We have other battles up and down the field. We'll keep an eye on the John Allen battle as Dries Nice desperately attempts to try and keep himself back into play. Worth versus Derricks is one to keep an eye on. Burrell Smith versus Brian Holmes, a battle to keep out for. But we'll stay with Iru Nom in the Bush Fink racing machine as he chases down Robert Hartley. To the right-hander they come along of Chappell, looking now for the run through this small kink left onto the hanger straight, this long hanger straight. And now Iru Nom, this is the best opportunity, if none, to make the move for position number 2. He's looking at maybe sending one down to the inside. He picks the draft up late. Late defensive move there from Hartley, but deliberate is the crucial factor. Around the outside goes Iru Nom, and he's gonna try and leave him for dust. Hartley now got to really attack at the Vale, back off of it slightly, maybe go for the up and under. Indy Jones, defender of the lost corner, no opportunities then to hold position, maybe a chance of a bump, not happening. Side by side, Worth and Derricks. Worth gets down to the inside. Worth takes the position away as Burrell Smith just in front goes side by side with Brian Holmes into the Vale, and not gonna happen then. Gonna have to sit and wait a little bit longer for that one to happen. Now Gene Fiddis fighting for the podium side by side on the run to the Abbey. He's got to do it the long way round though on Robert Hartley. That's always the difficult factor. No, he can't get the run. Can he get the run though coming to Bridge? That's the next question that needs to be asked of Gene Fiddis. The Gene Genie looking for a move. The Gene Genie out of magic wishes, it seems, at this stage. But Sonny Kanchan has been absolutely immaculate here today. He's done all that he's needed to do. He sat in the pack, he saved some fuel, he got to the front and decided, you know what, time to break away. Streak at 6. Sonny Kanchan at Silverstone, and suddenly this series just got a lot more predictable once again. Sonny Kanchan wins at Silverstone, Nom in second, Hartley third. The Gene Genie can only manage position number 4 as the battles continue up and down the field.
Schwenke's going to comfortably come home in 5th position. Now let's go a little bit farther back to Brian Holmes. Holmes trying to fend off Smith as they race to the start-finish line. I think Holmes is going to have it. Smith not going to be able to get there. Holmes is going to get 6th. Smith is going to get 7th. They come in behind Cooper, Worth, Derricks.
Yeah, all there, all having good runs. John Allen's out of fuel, I think, heading to the line, so he will drop a multitude of positions. He may even lose it here to Jordi Fike. No, Fike's too far back to make that happen. John Allen drops all the way back to 17th, running out of fuel on the line. That has got to hurt. And for John Allen, a driver who has a lot of respect in the MX-5 community, that's a rookie error from someone who went all the way to try and get himself in the driver search for the battery tender MX-5 series.
Let's go to 26. We got a little battle here between Sarah Dove and Kip's Hairflick Stevens. They come around. We haven't heard much from them. It looks like Dove is going to get the best of this one. Don't think Stevens has enough run to get there. Let's give them the official finishing order here. Looks like they're going to come home in 28th and 29th.
Yeah, and you've seen this next train then try and get through. That's going to be all pretty much set and sorted now. Just a couple of vehicles then to get themselves over. Just the final few drivers indeed. So what we're going to do here on the Global Sim Racing channel, we're going to step aside for one moment. When we come back, we're going to get official classified results. We're going to maybe go through our post-race wrap-up show, and then we may just have to shut the shop. But you are watching the Heusinkveld MX-5 World Tour, and you're watching it here on iRacing Live on the Global Sim Racing channel. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to what is the Sim Sport News wrap-up. Sim Sport News is one of the first dedicated sim racing news websites that covers all broadcasted series on iRacing. ran by Jacob Toss, who was unfortunately not here at this meeting, and Gianni Quintelier. The SimSport News race team competes on many official iRacing series, as well as the one you've been watching. For more information, go to simsportnews.com. But after what was a very hectic race overall, one that had a lot of action up and down the field, the classified results are in. This is how everything stands from round 2 at Silverstone. Sonny Kanchin then wins the event by 3.7 seconds. The streak is up to 6. Irunon will be sick of second. In second position, Robert Hartley will take the final position on the podium, holding off a stern challenge at the end from the Gene Genie, Gene Fittis. Travis Schwenke from Asbury Motorsports finishes 5th ahead of Brian Holmes, and while Burrell Smith will finish in 7th with Jason Cooper 8th, 9th for Richard Worth, and rounding out the top 10, Marco Derricks.
In 11th is Nick Thiessen and Dries Nice in 12th. Now, an amateur driver, Neil Bamber, our second fastest amateur. He comes home in 13th. Our top amateur was Anwar Smith, who came home in 7th. Behind Bamber, it's the Bay State Hammer, Tom Ratchey, and another newcomer making his series debut, Teddy Clark, 15th for him. Veteran Stephen Benofsel, another amateur, in 16th. 17, 18, 19th, and 20 go to John Deuce Allen. Let's talk a little bit about Allen. He had a very fast pit stop. His stop in the box was 10.5 seconds. You know what that gets you? That gets you running out of fuel, and that's why he finishes in 17th. Jordy Fike in 18th, 19th, and 20th go to Daryl Atkins and David Hampson.
Adam McNally got involved in an incident earlier on in the event. He finishes in 21st. Robert Weilinger, 22nd. Bashlob and Artem Karolski there. Karolski having a shocker of a day in 24th. Max Wright and Lord Murray make 25 and 26th. Bjorn de Forsch in 27th with Sarah Dove in 28th. The hairflip Kip Stevens finishes 29th. And Steve Hefford makes 30th.
Ludwig Sawyer and Arjun Shepers behind them. Peter Van Gool in the 33rd position, followed by Andrew Fawcett, Robert Whitty, Trip Smith in 36th. 37th is Maxime Bourgeois. Derek Holland in 38th. 39th and 40th is Gareth Hickling. Got that one right that time for you, Gareth. And Joe McDonald in 40th. Jake?
Jert Willemsen then 41st. Stefan Overgaard were hitting the drivers multiple laps down. Steve Clays, Mika Eshout. The counter Del Monte Cristo had a big struggle. Adam Delmont, Roll Hughes, Marcelo Pignan, Benjamin Fisher there. Ashley Howell didn't make the start, nor did Jacob Tofts either. So there's your field, there's your grid. But now, here's your interviews. And well, sometimes, you know, things are predictable. And Sonny Kanchin here with me. Sonny, does it get boring winning this much?
Hi, Jake. Yeah, good. It's good. I don't know. I enjoy it. I mean, I go into the race like I'm never going to win. I never won before, so I just gave it all, and I'm happy right now. So I don't know how long it will be like until I get bored, but it's not about getting bored. I think it's about giving your best, and I know everyone else is at the same level or even better.
Well, you have a lot of work that you have going on, of course, after practice and qualifying. You know, this race wasn't going to be as plain sailing as maybe some would have thought it would have been. So, you know, you get yourself the jump and the stop. You've seen how quick Robert Hartley has been and how he was pinning you down a little bit in the final stages. Do you feel that, you know, that you played your strategy card to perfection in the fact that you sat and waited, saved some fuel, and then got your fuel numbers down to a T?
Yeah, I can't really fault anything in regards to what happened after the pits. I saw Rob had a slower than usual, I believe, but pit stop and then the gap, I kind of maintained the gap till the end. I know after on the cooldown lap, that's when I kind of was out of fuel, so I was right on the dot, to be honest, once I crossed the finish line. And I was watching, keeping an eye on Rob and others behind. I know they're going to battle if I'm not making any more mistakes, and that's what I was focused on. Heads down. I've no mirrors, you know, but heads down. But keep an eye on that relative, basically. That's what happened. But at the start, I think the start was very important, and that's what won me the race. Because just a quick thing about what happened at the start when following Rob was a good strategy. I think I kind of saved a little bit fuel at the start. Then after I passed him, I wanted to kind of like confuse him a bit, whether I'm pitting or not. I wanted to take the advantage of pitting first. So that's how we went, and I think I had a good stop. There you go, Jake.
There you go. But of course, in terms of the racing, it's a 3-week break now between now and Summit Point. What does the 3-week break mean for you in terms of momentum? Because you're on a streak of 6. You now have this break, and you have a lot of time to think about, and a lot of other drivers have a lot of time to think about what they do to counter you.
Well, you mentioned it, Jake. I think the streak is going to break, because this break will be a long one for me. Fortunately, it's a good break because I'll be going overseas on a holiday, so I'll be missing out the next round.
Oh no, that's not fair. That's not fair. Cancel your holiday. Anyway, before we let you go, any shout outs to sponsors to your boys back in Asbury?
Yeah, everyone in Asbury, they were great as usual, as always. You know, we all make a team, and Marcello, even though he had to do a pit stop, he was right there with us in the team, and cheering everyone up. But it is great racing along Asbury. So everyone, including GSRC, and iRacing, to make this possible. I want to thank everyone. And I'll be on a holiday, but I'll be watching you guys. And good luck to everyone in the next round. Thanks again.
Well, no worries. Sonny Canchin feeling that he has to actually give someone a chance of victory then as he comes home with the race victory. Soup, you must have a very disappointed Irunom after another second position.
I don't know if he's disappointed. He's probably getting used to it. Boy, he is close. Errol, I think if you just hang close, this championship could come down to who makes fewer mistakes.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the race was... I didn't feel really good in this track, but yeah, the race was very comfortable, and at the end, I think I made the best movement outside on the last lap, so that was very good.
Thought you just shake it up a bit and stay out one lap longer, see what happens?
Yeah, I wasn't sure where they come out of the pits, but I saw they had the clean road, but yeah, maybe I should put it then, but it's too late anyway.
Well, you got a couple weeks off before we're back, so good luck to you. Hang in there, and we will, let's get ourselves a win next time.
Yeah, I'll try it.
All right, Errol Num. He's close. He's going to keep Sonny honest, I think. All right, where are we going?
Well, we're going to the Gene Genie, Gene Fittis. Gene! Oh, it's been a while since we've had a chance to talk to you. Gene, position 4. It could have been another podium.
Yeah, that's right. Pretty pleased with 4th, though, I have to say. Made a couple of spots up from where I started on the grid, so can't complain with that.
You
it's a good start to the season overall.
No, you can't complain with 4th position, of course. It's been a real renaissance for you in terms of how you've been pushing forward, how you've actually made your way up the grid. Do you feel that you are now in a consistent position to challenge for podiums? And do you think that, with Sonny Canchin not going to be here for the next round, that you have a shot of victory at Summit Point in 3 weeks' time?
I wasn't actually aware of that, Sonny not being around, but I wouldn't say top 5s at this stage. I mean, I'm sorry, podiums, but I do feel like I'm consistently on for top 5s, which is, I'm happy with that for this season. Like the last few seasons have been pretty rubbish from where I was hoping, and just want to keep my nose a bit cleaner and drive a bit smarter this season around, and keep racking up those top 5s and see where I'm at the end of the season.
Well, trying to rack up those top 5s, of course, you were in that final lap scrap. You had a chance against Robert Hartley on the outside. It just didn't quite fall for you.
No, but to be honest, as I say, to get a top 5 amongst these kind of level of competitors, like, I wasn't going to push the issue too hard with Rob. I was pretty tight on fuel as well, so that's part of the reason why I actually dropped back behind Aero and Rob earlier, a few laps earlier in the race, because I wasn't sure I was actually going to make it. So, yeah, all in all, it's a good event, and looking forward to more.
Looking forward to more. So before we let you go, any shout-outs or sponsors to your boys back at your team?
Yeah. Well, we had naming rights on this event, the Race Stars Battle of Britain, brought to you by Progression Racing Australia. So I just want to thank Race Stars very much for their support for us, and say good day to all the boys at PRA.
Well, not to worry at all. The Gene Genie, Gene Fittis, coming home in position number 4. A very good run from him today. Very, very exciting. Soup, we'll have one more in the overall. I think we'll talk to the new boy, Teddy Clark.
Let's go ahead and find out about this guy. He finished 3rd overall in the amateurs, 15th overall for all the drivers. Teddy, welcome to the interview booth. Always do. There we go. We're going to get you, Teddy. Go ahead. We almost heard you. One more time. There we go. We got you. Oh, and he's there. He's just Teddy's very shy as he's new to the series there. What we'll do, we'll let Teddy, we'll try him again next race. Hopefully we'll have another good one. It's Teddy's first race with us here. You got it, Teddy. Go ahead and say something. And it's not going to be there. All right. So Teddy Clark hailing from the UK, and Jay will testify that all those guys in England are kind of quiet.
Yeah, they are. I'll tell you what, Sue. I'll be very, very nice. I'll give you a quick one with Sarah Dove.
All right, that'll do. Or Sarah, let's see. Is she coming in here? Let's go ahead and bring her down.
She's in.
Oh, okay, great. Sarah, you decided to race in the Fendered car here today. You're well down the list.
Yeah. I didn't have the track for the absolute beginners, so I kind of had to race this one anyway.
Yeah. Oh, that makes sense. I couldn't imagine that an English girl wouldn't have Silverstone. So, do you like Silverstone?
Yeah. I kind of prefer this older version to the newer one, and especially the historic version of this one, because there's none of the chicanes or anything, so it's super fast and really fun.
Yeah, absolutely. How'd you do? I think you got into do you have a little bit of issue out there this time? A little contact?
Yeah. I think somebody hit me in the back while checking up, and that just made me have no top speed, so I couldn't pass anyone. So I was just sort of driving around in a big mess, and then I got involved in an incident later on. But this haven't really been on my A game, really. Just kind of not really concentrating very well.
I got you. Well, look, it's Saturday night. Have a good night. Tomorrow's Sunday. Have a good weekend, and we will see you. It's 3 weeks before we do it again, so whether it's either here or in the AOR, that may start up first, or in the Absolute Beginner IndyCar Series, wherever we see you next, we'll get you in for an interview.
Thank you.
Sarah Dove. All right, Jake.
Well, Andrew, buddy, I know you, don't I?
One thing that is certainly going to be another, as I accidentally throw Joe Peak out of the onto the booth like an idiot that I am. It's been a long week. I think it has to be said, and it only gets longer with Sunday coming along as well. So, Joe, I'm so sorry. You know, what we did get was a little bit of what's happening on what was the other race that we had going on, which is, of course, our IndyCars. So, you know, we give you everything here at the Global Sim Racing channel, but unfortunately, that's all we're going to have time for here this afternoon. Is you know, I will say my bad on that one. I was trying to get Sarah Dove out to the booth, but everyone's there in front of me.
At least you knew what track we were on.
At least I knew what track we were on, yes. Of course, we have to give our thanks, of course, to all the drivers, all the teams that have been a part of the Quality Racing Sim-dicate for organising the series, contracting with GSRC to go and broadcast it. Thanks also have to go to Heusinkveld. Affordable simulator software and hardware are thought to be of limited use for race teams and drivers, but their simulation solutions bring professional results within reach for any race team or driver without having to compromise on realism or engineering value. They offer a broad array of products and services such as advanced simulation software and hardware. They are able to simulate any combination of race car and track, including a full-fledged cockpit environment with unparalleled realism. Heusinkveld solutions are currently being used by professional teams and drivers in Formula Ford, GP3, GP2 and Formula 1. Now, these products are available for any professional race team or driver looking for an edge in racing. Be a better race car driver and get in touch today. We'd also like to extend our thanks to those at Race Stars, Progression Racing Australia and SimSport News for sponsoring today's event, as well with a thanks to the company's equipment and software that you see on screen that we have used on our broadcast. And of course, the original music that you've heard on today's broadcast is thanks to our good friends Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde. See the screen for how to contact each of them right now.
The Heusinkveld MX-5 World Tour returns for round 3 in 3 weeks, March 24th from Summit Point. Although what track I decide to describe in the countdown to green is anybody's guess. GSRC will be there to bring you all the action. We hope you join us. Sliding across your screen right now are some of the upcoming broadcasts, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. If you'd like to find out more information about GSRC, including a complete list of future broadcasts. You can find it all at globalsimracingchannel.com. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel. Jake?
And finally, on behalf of the man on my right, Bill Supzan, the man behind the desk who must be crying into his desk or something or other, the amount I've put the work on him here this afternoon, our director Joe Peake, and the man who, some say, instead of firing nuclear missiles, would fire cameras if he was in 10 Downing Street, our camera guru Dougie Beard. I'd like to thank you all for watching. So until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.